Hello there. I'm going to show you as quickly as I can how to show you how to play 15th Step. It's probably one of my favorite Radiohead songs. In Rainbows in general is perfect, and this song in particular is one of my favorites, especially since it's the first one of the entire album that you hear. And Johnny Greenwood came up with some very simple but very cool sounding guitar lines. So let's figure out what the hell he's doing. So he's got this G sharp minor, and then he has a C sharp major going to an E flat minor, and then going back down. Okay, so let's figure this part out first. The first chord he's playing is basically G sharp minor, like I said, but you're only playing 3 notes of each chord. You're not playing the whole entire chord. So that's the first thing you got to get right off the bat. It's not the entire chord, it's just 3 strings. So in this case, for this chord, we're playing the low E, 4th fret, and I use my middle finger, ring finger, 4th fret of the G. Pinky is also on the 4th fret of the B. But my first finger, if you see it here, it's just hanging out. But what happens is that, to me, it sounds like he's using it on the 2nd fret of the B string. So the idea here is you play the low E twice, then you play the G and the B with the ring and pinky 4th fret one time, and then you let go of the pinky, so that way you have the 2nd fret of the B and the 4th fret of G. And so all together, very slow, it's that kind of idea. You just lift off the pinky and then you already have it fretted here. So in actuality, I mean, this is more of like a G sharp minor 11 chord. Yeah, it's more of like a G sharp minor 11, but it's okay. Right? Then what we do is we move the G and the B strings, those 2 fingers that we have here, the 4th fret, slide them up to the 6th fret. So we go like this. Like that. Now you bar 4th fret of the A to the high E, play the A string twice, and then the G and the B. So the G and the B are on the 6th fret now. And because you're barring here, we lift off the pinky, we play the G string first, 6th fret, then we're barring here, so it's 4th fret of the B, and then we hammer on 6th fret of the B. It sounds like that. So very slow. Okay? Something like that. Now we slide up the G string to the 8th fret. We bar the 6th fret from the A to the high E, and we use our middle finger here on the 7th fret of the B. So it goes like this. So A string twice, G, B, lift off the middle finger. So now you have the 6th fret of the B, and then you already have your ring finger here on the 8th fret of the G, and then you slide that down to the 6th fret, back where we were at before. So now you lift off the pinky, and then you slide down the ring finger to the 4th fret. Okay, so let's do that whole motion from the beginning all the way to sliding down. So let's do that. So very slow. Right, I'm just doing that, but it's really... So the G string is the thing that's connecting it all together, okay? You see it's cycling up, then it cycles back down. It's a very easy way to just have these chords flow into one another, is by having just one note kind of be the connecting dot. And so don't stress too much about it having to be two strings here. The way I was doing it before is I was sliding the G and the B at the same time. Like that. But it's really just a G string that you need to slide. Right, and you could hear it right off the bat. Now that's basically what Johnny Greenwood is doing there. Okay, so that's basically the main riff. The second riff is, well, not really a riff, but it's just a progression. It's the same thing, but just almost like an octave up. So I'm playing, my ring finger and the pinky are going to be on the D and the G, or I'm sorry, the D and the B strings, 9th fret. First finger is on the 7th fret of the high E. Take this shape, move it up 2 frets. So now your ring finger D is now on the 11th fret, the B string 11th fret. And then first finger is on the 9th fret of the high E. And then your ring finger is the one that's now sliding D string up to the 13th fret. And then you have middle finger, 12th fret of the B. First finger is the 11th fret of the high E. So it kind of goes like this. Okay, very similar to what we were doing over here, but now we're just basically an octave up. So we got this chord. Okay, then we do the spooky part number 1 is what I call it, and it's basically just this. It's just a C sharp minor chord. You can look up how to play it. It's a bar chord. And then you move that chord shape down 1 fret to C minor, bar. And then we go back into what we were doing earlier, the very first chord. But this time we're kind of descending, so it sounds like this. Lift off the pinky, and then a G string. And then what I do here is I keep the middle finger here on the 4th fret, and I bar the D and the G, and I do a hammer-on the G string 4th fret. Or not a hammer-on, but I just put the finger down, the ring finger. So you can see there I'm using my middle finger and my first finger. First finger is just barring. Middle finger is on the 4th fret of the low E. And then I use my ring finger on the 4th fret of the G. Okay? Let me play it again. And now I'm not exactly sure about this chord, but it's close enough, and it works. But it's something that needs to be. I'm pretty sure that's what he plays. I've seen the Live from the Basement video enough times, and also the one where they recorded they did the whole album live in I think it was another Live from the Basement kind of thing, actually. So playing this part, let me play it one more time. So that's the idea there. And then we basically go back to the main riff. Let me just bring my charger for my phone out. We go back to the main riff, and it sounds really, really cool. It's a good thing I'm doing this now before the phone dies. Actually, honestly, I'm going to leave this in. I'm not even going to edit any of this out. Okay. So, thank you for bearing with me and my cold. So I have here, C sharp minor, down to the C, then this chord, and then we go back into and then that bass line, boom, 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 boom. And then I believe we go into Spooky Part 2, which is what I call it. It's basically just going from a C sharp minor chord to an E flat minor chord, back down to the C sharp minor, going back to that G sharp minor that the very first chord. That very first chord that we learned. So it goes and that repeats a few times until we get into that cool little Johnny Greenwood type of sounding thing, which is at least that's the way I play it. I think that's what's going on there. So I'm doing this chord shape, which is basically a C minor. I bar D through the high E, 10th fret. Ring finger is on the 12th fret of the G, pinky is on the 13th fret of the B, and my middle finger is on the, 11th fret of the high E. And what I'm doing there is I play the D string, I think that's what I'm doing. D string 2 times, high E, lift off the middle fingers, and then play the B string like that. So and then I switch over to this chord, which is middle finger, 10th fret of the G, pinky is on the 12th fret of the 10th fret of the D, middle finger, 12th fret G, ring finger is on the 11th fret of the B, and then my first finger is on the 9th fret of the B. And I just lift off the ring finger. So all together, something like that. It's a very, very simple little pattern kind of thing, and it's just taking 2 chords and just letting them play. But Johnny Greenwood, just has a way of making those sound pretty cool. Anyway, that is basically how to play through the entirety of 15 Step. Hopefully it helped you out. I'm sorry if I'm sick and you can't understand me too well, but just take your time. go through the video, rewind or look at what you need to, or slow down the video if you need to. But really, yeah. And right hand technique, I'm just using my thumb, middle finger, ring finger. That's it. Just 3 fingers. Okay? Thank you. Hope it helps you out.